Once upon a time, in a magical world filled with wonder and excitement, lived a tribe of dragons. They were not your ordinary dragons. Oh no, they were the Firetail dragons, a kind and intelligent race, known throughout the land for their ability to breathe fire. You heard me right, fire. Imagine breathing fire. How cool is that? The Firetail dragons lived in a beautiful valley, surrounded by tall mountains and lush forests. Their homes were cozy caves, carved into the mountainside, where they would snuggle up with their families. After a long day of flying around the skies, it was a perfect place to live if you love peace, quiet, and a little bit of fire. Now let's meet our hero, a young dragon named Drake. Drake was a brave and adventurous soul, always eager to explore the world beyond the Firetail Valley. He loved soaring through the clouds, feeling the wind beneath his wings, and seeing the world from a bird's eye view. Just one small problem, dear viewer. Drake couldn't breathe fire. Now don't get me wrong, he tried his hardest. He'd puff out his chest, inhale deeply, and let out a mighty roar. But instead of a fiery blast, he'd let out a small plume of smoke that smelled like burnt toast. Oh yes, Drake was a dragon who couldn't breathe fire. As you can imagine, this made him feel pretty down in the dumps. All the other young dragons would gather around, giggling and snickering at his failed attempts. Look at Drake trying to breathe fire again, they'd say, their voices echoing through the valley. What a pathetic little dragon he is. It didn't help that Drake had a big heart and an even bigger imagination. He dreamed of being a great hero, saving the day, and earning the respect of his fellow dragons. But without fire, he felt like he'd never be taken seriously. One evening, as the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the valley, Drake decided he'd had enough. He was tired of being teased and belittled. So he did something crazy. He packed a small bag with some dried fish and a few shiny pebbles, then took off into the sky. He flew over the mountains, past the whispering waterfalls, and deep into the unknown. Drake was on a quest to find the legendary fire crystal, a mythical artifact said to be hidden somewhere in the world. If he could find it, maybe, just maybe, he could use its power to breathe fire and finally fit in. As the night wore on, Drake's hope began to dwindle. Not only had he not found the fire crystal, but a massive storm had rolled in, turning the once familiar world into a dark and dangerous place. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the path ahead, revealing a rushing river that had overflown its banks. Oh dear viewer, what a predicament! What was Drake going to do now? Just then, Drake noticed something that made his heart skip a beat. On the other side of the river, huddled a group of young dragons, their eyes wide with fear. They were too small to fly, and were now trapped by the rising waters. Without hesitation, Drake dove towards them. "Don't worry, I'll help you," he shouted over the roar of the wind. Then, with a mighty flap of his wings, he scooped them up one by one and carried them to safety. As the first rays of sunlight peeked over the horizon, Drake and the young dragons returned to the valley. Exhausted, but exhilarated, the other dragons were waiting anxiously, their faces etched with worries. "Drake, you're back," they cried, rushing to greet him. "We were so worried. Where have you been?" Drake smiled, his heart swelling with pride. "I went on an adventure," he said, his voice filled with joy. "And guess what? I discovered something amazing." The other dragons looked at him, puzzled. "What did you discover?" they asked in unison. Taking a deep breath, Drake began his tale, telling them about his journey, the storm, and most importantly, about the young dragons he had saved. As he spoke, the dragons listened intently, their initial worry giving way to admiration. When Drake finished his story, there was a moment of silence. Then the other dragons erupted into applause, their voices echoing through the valley. You were right, Drake, they said, their eyes shining with newfound respect. Bravery isn't about breathing fire. It's about helping others and being kind. From that day forward, Drake was a hero. The other dragons looked up to him, admiring his courage and compassion. As for the fire crystal, well, it turned out Drake didn't need it to be a hero. He already had something much more valuable, a big heart and a willingness to help others. Now let's talk about that, shall we? Being different isn't a bad thing. In fact, it makes each one of us special and unique. Like Drake, we may feel like we don't fit in or that we're not good enough. But remember, our differences are what make us superheroes. It's okay to feel sad or angry when we can't do something that other people can do, but we shouldn't let those feelings control us. Instead, we should focus on what we can do, like Drake, who used his intelligence and empathy to help others. Remember, bravery isn't just about being strong or powerful. It's also about being kind, compassionate, and helping those in need. We've reached the end of our exciting tale today. What did you think of Drake's adventure? Did you learn anything new, or perhaps discovered a little more about yourself? We'd love to hear all about your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and never miss out on our fantastic stories. Also, don't forget to check out our other videos. Who knows, you might find a new favorite story there. Thanks for joining us on this magical journey. Keep being awesome, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.